Steven, do you hate the Yankees?
I wouldn't say so. No,
Why is that?
I've just never had that much of a problem with them. Um, I get that. I get why, but I get why other people do, but I just never have. I've always respected them. I've always thought they were a historic franchise. The fans are annoying, sure, but besides the point, it's not the Yankees itself that I don't like. I think they're a true piece of baseball history, and I respect it. I don't really hate them.
Look at you with the respect. See, most
Yeah.
fans, it doesn't matter if you are a baseball fan or, obviously if you're a Red Sox fan or any of the AL East teams, you probably hate the Yankees. But I think the majority of baseball fans hate the Yankees just because they're the Yankees. They're always talked about as the biggest team in American sports. It's always said it's better for baseball when they're good, and I think people just hate that shit. But it's interesting that you would say that because I think you, and being a diehard baseball fan, that most diehard baseball fans, that if you're not a Yankee fan, you probably hate them.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've never hated them per se. I'm not going to act like I root for them.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I wanted them to win. What was it? The 2009 World Series when Hideki Matsui went nuclear. Like that was the year, right? When Matsui went crazy. Was that the series or was that the championship series? I think he went crazy in that playoff series one year.
Matsui was a World Series MVP, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's not like I root against them, though. I do, I despise Alex Rodriguez. I can't stand him. But I don't really
the future owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Correct.
We'll see.
I don't really associate him with the Yankees so much, but I don't know. I've just never truly disliked them. The only team I really hate is the Dodgers. Like, other than that, I don't really hate a lot of other teams per se. It's a strong word, Derek.
I know hate's a strong word, but I figured that I thought you maybe would have hated them just because you just think, oh, the Yankees, oh, we got to bow down to the Yankees. I'm sure you think that's annoying, but yeah, I mean, I figured there'd be more hatred, I guess, on the West Coast, but maybe not, just because the Giants and Yankees really have no affiliation with each other.
Yeah.
So,
well, what about you? You growing up an A's guy, and I know they had some pretty interesting. Like whenever the Yankees would come to town, actually, that's going to play into what we're going to talk about a little bit with the Giants here.
Yeah.
But it was. I'm not going to say it was a rivalry because obviously there's Yankees Red Sox. You can't call A's Yankees a rivalry, but God, it felt like it whenever you'd go to those games in the 2000s.
Yeah, the A's were beaten by the Yankees 2 years in a row in the 2000 ALDS and the 2001 ALDS. And the 2001 ALDS was more just bitter to take because I believe the A's had a 2-0 lead, and back then it was best of 5. And then they lost 3 straight, and that was the Jeremy Giambi series where
that was
did not slide.
That was also the year where, like, 2001, I'd say
that's the best game. That's the best A's team that I saw.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe it's not too bold to say that team was like a World Series potential team back in that time.
Yeah, it was going to be tough because people forget. I mean, the A's, I think, won 100-plus games that year and did not win the division because the Seattle Mariners set the single-season record for wins, and they lost eventually to the Yankees in the ALCS. But, yeah, that A's team was – I mean, everybody talks about the 2002 A's because of Moneyball and the win streak, but the 2001 A's were better because they still had Jason Giambi, who still my favorite player, even though, God – him leaving that offseason to go to the Yankees. Okay, to answer your question, I do not hate the Yankees. I'm just like ugh about them. I roll my eyes, like I'm like, oh, do I have to care?
Yeah.
Because it's weird. My dad grew up being a Yankee fan, and he's kind of a Yankee fan today, I think. But he grew up because his father was a big Yankee guy, and there was always, like those divisional playoff series with the A's and Yankees, and my dad calling those games. But yeah, I mean, it was only those back-to-back years where I was like, God, fuck the Yankees and Jeter and all of them, and they bought most of their players while the A's, failed to get all those guys back in that 2001 offseason where it was Jason Giambi leaving and Johnny Damon. And yeah, so I would say I don't really hate the Yankees, but I do get the hate because they're just forced down your throats. It's the same thing as the Dallas Cowboys or the Los Angeles Lakers. They're just the bigger, the marquee franchise of their respected sport, and they're going to get the most attention.
Yeah. If you ask me though, if let's just say I lived in New York or if I was from like New Jersey, I'd probably have a different a different attitude towards them for sure. But because we're on the West Coast, I don't really feel that hatred too much, and because I didn't really like grow up too much of an A's fan, so even though I was at that game with the flip and Jeremy Giambi.
You were, huh?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty unbelievable.
Do you remember being there and everything?
I remember it a little bit. Not too much, though. Like, not all the details. I remember bits and pieces of those types of games when I was younger. But I don't even really think I knew. I don't know. I was probably paying attention to something else. Like, I don't know. I didn't have the attention span of what I have now. I can't pay attention to a full 9-inning game, so I probably didn't even know what happened.
That's incredible. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We were coming to you on a Sunday, as we usually do, but I know a lot of people in the chat I love how they're asking about this. Wasn't Derek supposed to pick up Steven's couch today? Don't worry. It's still going to happen. Not today. And yes, Walter's the one that's helping me out. So we're at the mercy of Walter Igabal Celta, but he's doing a good favor to me, so I am more than happy to wait when he is ready to do it. He has the dimensions. It's just got to be where he has the truck availability. So for everybody in the chat wondering about when I'm going to pick up Steven's couch, don't worry, it's going to happen. But we'll figure it out because I guess I'm going to have to get your keys or something now.
Yeah, forget the people in the chat. I'm wondering when you're going to come pick it up.
I know. I'm sorry. Well, it's a lot to ask, Stephen. I mean, it's one thing that you're having a couch given to you. It's one thing to take the couch from you. So now I got to figure out that out, and we'll get it done. Don't worry. Just now you'll have two couches in one apartment, and that's not bad.
Not really, but we don't have a ton of space. But we
more places to put your food.
Exactly. But it's light, it's easy to move, and we're out next weekend. I won't be here on the pod next weekend. That's why we'd have to give you your keys. Give you the keys if you're coming next weekend.
Okay. We'll figure it out. The couch will be taken.
Yes.
It may be best when you're there because that's kind of weird, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, true. It is odd, but I don't know. I think 2 weekends from now we're all good.
Okay.
I think so.
Then maybe we got time. Hey, it's all good. Yeah. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry. I got this new couch though.
I'll take out I'll take that couch off your hands for free if you want me to, Steven. It's all good. I got
you. Okay. That's okay. I might charge you $150 for the late fee.
Wow.
So, but getting the
screwed everywhere these days with all these charges. Jesus.
Getting the new couch in here was an adventure. Because they came through on Ashley Furniture. And the problem is our apartment complex is super confusing, especially if you've never been here before, because it's so big and you drive up the driveway, you don't really know where you're going. So I give directions before the delivery. I do the same thing with DoorDash. Give the directions, but they never know what I'm talking about. I say enter the first gate that you see for the retreat, enter that and follow the road around the back. Follow the parking lot. Follow where everyone's parked. Just go around the back. They never do that. They always park on the main street. And that's what these dudes from Ashley Furniture did. And I don't know if they couldn't understand me or if they couldn't hear me because the guy had AirPods in. But he parked outside. He gave me a call. I went outside to see him. And I said, hey, so I pointed. I was like, if you drive around to the back, I can meet you there. And he goes, okay. So he pointed. He pointed in the direction that he was supposed to go into the little driveway. See, AJ Cruz, you already lost me. Nice guy. Yeah. Yeah. DoorDash literally says before I order anything, DoorDash literally says, hey, your apartment looks pretty confusing. It looks difficult to get to. So add some more directions, please. Like that's it. It knows. So I gave the directions, and here's what I did. I ran from the main street to the part of the of the parking lot where I was meant to go, or where I was going to go meet them, and I was going to tell them, hey, park along here, blah blah blah. I go back to that spot. They weren't there. And I continue walking down the road. They're still not there. And then I go back to the place where I met them before. They are still parked and they're unloading the couch. And this is in the least convenient spot. And then this is my fault. I was like, all right, you know what, whatever. They're unloading the couch. I'll lead them through this part, this garage here, because we have a parking garage too.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this parking garage is going to be the best way. So I led them through it. Turns out it was the wrong garage. We have like 3 of them.
Gesundheit, Steven sneezing.
Excuse me. Oh my God, I just sneezed. Hardcore. Should I leave that on the podcast just for dramatic effect? I'm so used to muting my microphone. Should I just sneeze?
Hey, I mean, it's fine. If you need me to fill in the blanks when you sneeze, that's all good.
Yeah. So I led them through the wrong parking garage where there wasn't like a door that led out to our apartment. It was just it was a cluster, dude. It really was. And we got it in here eventually, but these dudes had to work to get the couch into our apartment. And in what could have been a 5-10 minute process, it turned into like a half hour. So,
and they, of course,
anyway,
charge by the hour.
Dude, I don't think so. They just charged us for the delivery.
Oh, they're not movers. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
But I gave them a tip. I gave them a nice tip.
Did you give them water?
Did not give them water. Should have given them water.
Steven, come on. This is the Seinfeld rules. You have men moving furniture in your place. You got to give them water. Now,
is that
lucky
a thing?
For me, I don't have cups, so I couldn't give them any water.
Is that a thing?
I mean, it's in a Seinfeld episode where same thing. Elaine is getting a couch moved, and Jerry judges her for not offering the guy any water.
Damn, maybe I should have.
Well, you know what? Since you're regretting things, let me regret something too from last podcast. I want to acknowledge that I sounded like a total jackass when I said, well, shit, if I'm doing holes in the walls, then they shouldn't charge me and all that stuff. I completely acknowledge that I sounded spoiled and stupid, and going forward, I will spackle the walls when I make or damage to the walls. That was incredibly idiotic of me to act like it's no big deal and not even repair them. I don't know what's going to happen. I have not heard from my old apartment complex. They're probably just going to withhold the deposit from me, and that's totally fine. But going forward, I need to be an adult. I need to take care of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not hard, but you know what?
I know.
Live and learn, Derek. We live, we learn.
We live and learn. We live and learn. I'm growing the hell up, and that's something I need to do next time.
But Ernie has a pressing question here that needs answering. What do you mean?
Yeah, I know.
Cups. What?
I have glasses. I have 2 from breweries that I've attended. But as far as like having a set of cups, I'm gonna get them now because I have a bigger place. But when I was in my other place, I don't know. I just had my water jug, and that's all I needed. So like when I have like my little brother over, and he's like, "Can I get a cup?" And I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, sorry, I don't have a cup for you." And he's like, "What's wrong with you? How do you not have any cups in your apartment?" And I'm like, I never thought of anybody else but myself. So I just have my water bottle. That's all I need. Why do I need to waste money on cups when I don't need them?
Just get 2 or 3. Just go to Target, get some of those plastic ones that are really cheap. Just get a couple.
I definitely need to do some actual furniture and household shopping. I realized at my last place how little I had. Like I didn't even have a cutting board. Now I need to get all that shit. Yeah.
You didn't have a cutting board in the
didn't have a cutting board because Steven, I didn't have to. I couldn't make many meals because I didn't have a kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I would actually do? This is extremely dangerous. I don't recommend this. I didn't have a full fridge. I had a mini fridge. But in order for me to get my Brita filter into the fridge, I had to take one shelf out, one glass shelf that was in the mini fridge. So I would take that out and put the Brita in there, so there was enough room. take that glass shelf, put it on the countertop, and stupidly just, have that up there. I didn't have any other place to put it. And if I needed to cut something, I would cut it on there. But that could easily bust in your hand or break easily.
Derek.
Yeah, I know. I know. Hey, I moved out. I'm learning things. We're all good.
Well, hey, at least you got your own kitchen, man.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good.
Scratch the cement laying. All right. You're not going to do it. It's pretty clear.
Well, hang on. You never know.
Take up cooking, dude. Just
believe me. No, who says I don't cook?
You did.
Well, okay, fair enough.
You don't have a cutting board.
True. Okay, I could cook more, but I did cook a lot. I still have my air fryer. Fryer.
Okay.
So,
good.
Yeah, and I'll admit this. I don't know. These don't count as TikToks, do they? Like, I watch a lot of cooking videos, like little mini ones on YouTube, like the 30-second ones, or like a minute, whatever they are, and they'll be like, "Would you eat this?" And it's like this guy, and like the ASMR is like ridiculous. Like you hear like the meat being mixed together and the cutting, and then, and it sounds all good. And I was like, I want to make that. So yes, I would definitely be down to cook a lot more.
That is I know exactly what Instagram guy you're talking about. That one is super weird. He cuts all the holes with a fork in the chicken.
And that's a good technique. That's a good technique because you get the juiciness of the chicken. The air pops out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Do you tenderize your chicken too, Steven? Do you beat it down?
Depends what I'm making. I
normally always beat your chicken.
I normally cut the chicken breast in half. Sometimes I do beat the chicken though. I don't have a mallet. I just use my fist. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I use my fist.
Yeah, I don't have cups, but I definitely have a mallet for some reason.
You have a meat mallet?
My mom gave me a meat mallet, but I don't have cups.
Derek, if let's just say it's not your brother who comes over, it's not me who comes over. Let's just say you meet a friend, maybe it's a lady friend, and she comes back to your apartment at this very time. She would think you're a serial killer. Hey, why do you have all these knives and no cutting board?
That's changed. I definitely have a cutting board now.
What is this head in your air fryer? Why is there a cut off head?
A head in my air fryer. I will say this too. You have
a meat mallet, but no meat.
Okay, it hasn't been an issue in the past, even and people don't question shit when they come over. I will say this. Now that I am bald, I shave my head. And this is where the serial killer stuff could really come into play. My shower curtain. I didn't even realize this one day. I was shaving my head and I nicked the top of my forehead and did not even notice. Yeah, did not even notice. Took a shower and I'm looking down at my shower curtain. I'm like, why is it all red? What the hell's going on here? And I felt the top of my head. I was like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. Holy shit. And I got out of the shower and just iced it up for a little while. And my little brother comes over a couple weeks later and he's like, Derek, do you want to talk to me about something? And I'm like, why? What's the matter? And he goes, I just used your bathroom. Why is your shower curtain all red? I'm like, oh, fuck. He's like, have you been chopping up bodies in here? I was like, no, I just bled and it stained the shower curtain. So yeah, you could probably think I'm a serial killer from a distance. Yeah.
Oh man, we need an extreme home makeover. We need that guy from Sears commercials to come through and
move the truck.
What was the move that truck.
Yeah.
Move that truck. Derek's just got cups and a cutting board. Oh my God. A clean shower curtain.
Pimp My Ride turns into Pimp My Apartment. It's just like a normal apartment. It's like, oh my God. Now he has cups.
Well, wait a second. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone in like the VH1 game? Is VH1 still a thing?
I still think, shit, I don't even know anymore. I used to watch VH1 back in the day, pop-up video.
Yeah.
Ooh, behind the music.
Pimp My Apartment, Pimp My Crib. Instead of cribs, it's Pimp My Crib.
That's true. Well, all that stuff was on MTV, but yes.
That's right.
I'll hit up Exhibit if he's not doing anything these days.
And you have, what was his face? Something Mike. What was his name? something Mike, who did all the electronics and stuff. Yo, I got you a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox connected at the same time to 5 different TVs, all in your Honda Civic.
Yeah. Excuse me. The acting on that show was impeccable.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. See, I don't mute my mic, Steven. I just let it sneeze.
Exhibit comes over to your house.
Yeah,
Yo,
he
you
does
only
the-
got you don't have any cups.
Bro, you need cups, man. What's wrong with you? You don't spackle? The fuck's wrong with you? And they do like the. I always loved the when he was walking down the street to the place where he was going to meet the person. It would speed up then slow down, like the B-roll of him, like. I'm here. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it is
good.
true. Yes, Ernie won. This is correct. I have more TVs than cups because I know what's important.
Yeah. Totally.
Anyway, all right. Steven, you're not going to go out to the ballpark at all for this Yankees Giants series?
No, I am not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just not interested, or had other plans, or
Had other plans, had other stuff to do. Going out later today, and then even though we're doing this podcast right now, like I'd be at the ballpark right now if we were doing this, if I was going there.
no. Gotcha.
Yeah. But no, I didn't really have much interest. Also, I knew it was going to be packed, especially if I got if I got a credential. Like, you know, the press box would be just crowded with people.
Yeah.
You'd really have to get there early to get a seat. So I don't know. Wasn't really too bothered by it.
Yeah, I went out Friday night. We did the show from 58 Social, and a lot of Giants fans at the patio. But once I went to my seats, because Walter, good friend who's going to help me out with moving the couch, he had the hookup for seats. We were right behind home plate on the Yankees dugout. And I would say it was about 60-40 Yankee fans. And there were people sitting next to us, all decked out in Yankee gear. And we were like, "Are you from New York?" He's like, "No, I live in the Bay Area, but I never get a chance to watch the Yankees." Like, it's crazy how big the Yankees fan base is. And Steph Curry came out Friday night, really good. It was African American Heritage Night, and they're passing out the Willie Mays bobbleheads. And Bob Kendrick of the Negro League Hall of Fame was there. It was awesome. Really good. Like it was like, you know, I know I grew up as an A's fan for most of my life, but I'll admit there are moments in my past where I remember it being awesome to go to Pac Bell or AT&T Park back in the day to go watch the A's play the Giants and go see Barry Bonds. And I remember just in like the late 90s, early 2000s, just going to the ballpark when my dad switched over to being the Giants play-by-play guy for a little bit of time, him and Dave Fleming. My dad would fill in when John Miller would be doing Sunday Night Baseball. And those were good times. I just remember it was just like, you know, a summer afternoon, and it always felt like there was a buzz at the ballpark because Barry Bonds was there. And I haven't felt that in quite some time. I wasn't around during the World Series years of 2010 and 2012. I moved back here in 2014, but I didn't go to many games. I was just, you know, coming out of college and working a lot. But going to the ballpark this past Friday night kind of felt the same vibe again that I did in the early 2000s when Barry Bonds was there. And it may have just been because it was the Yankees in town. I didn't go to any of the games in 2019 or in 2007 when the Yankees were here, but it was the first time in a while where, not as a Giants fan, just me personally, that I felt a buzz in the ballpark again.
Yeah. It was sort of there in 2019, but even more so now because like when you told me that Yankees fans took over, when you texted me that, and I wasn't too shocked at that. Like seeing the Yankee contingent that would show up to the Coliseum whenever the A's and Yankees would play, like you knew there's a diehard fan base out there, and there's a reason they're the most popular team in the nation. I don't care what Dodgers could try to convince you, but they're never going to surpass the Yankees. Like that's the most. It is the global superstar in baseball.
Different brand.
when you think baseball, it's Yankees wherever you go. You ask anyone in England, you ask anyone in Europe in general, like it's Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. So I'm not too surprised at that, but I think the buzz was largely because the Yankees are just so damn good, and they're a team that you really can't miss. And I think the reason there was so much Yankees fans is because, well, the Giants, even though they went on this really, really cool run, I wasn't really going to change my mind as to what I think about them. And that is, this right now is a wild card team that could be a Cinderella story if they get hot during the postseason, and not much more than that. Like, they could play as well as they can on the road, against the Pirates, against the Phillies. But at the end of the day, like, these teams are just so good. The Yankees are just stacked. And when Aaron Judge is doing what he did, it's like, it's like, yeah, it's no competition. And not even to mention Giancarlo Stanton hitting a rocket to cap off whatever the score was. I think it was like 7-2 last night. So, this whole series, like, it doesn't change my perception of the Giants. I just think, like, what the road trip did was prove, yeah, they could be contenders, but at the end of the day, like, are they one of the best teams that are right up there with the Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, Braves, whomever? Like, no, they're not. They're more on the side of, like, the Chicago Cubs to me, where it's like, you got some good pitching. They can have some fantastic performances from their starters, but the lineup leaves a little bit more to be desired. It's just crazy looking at the lineups, actually, just going side by side. It's like number 1, Luis Matos, who is like 0 for his last, what feels like 1,000, even though it's like 15, I think. He's like 0 for 15 or whatever in his last 15 at-bats. Then it's like second, we got Wilmer Flores. And I like Wilmer, but with the Yankees, all right, we got Aaron Judge, we got Juan Soto, we got Giancarlo Stanton.
Those 3 guys alone are anybody that the Giants would love to have on their team right now, because they don't have anybody like that. They have 3 of those guys.
Yeah. Yep.
Just big power hitters.
And, like, their one power hitter, the guy whose only job to hit, they're paying him $12 million a year to do it.
Yeah.
Jorge Soler didn't even get on the field except in a pinch hitting role yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the Giants are at. There's just really no competition, especially when the team's clicking. Like, if they're in a slump, then maybe the Giants can get to them. But God, it's just top to bottom, they are very, very strong.
Yeah, to say the least. Watching Aaron Judge was incredible. And when he came out of the dugout, God, what is he, 6'7"? He's huge. And Walter was sitting next to me, and Walter's a big baseball guy. But the first thing, I would say this to you too, is the first thing that came to my mind is, God, Aaron Judge should have played tight end. He's like, stop. Like, not everybody has to play football. And I'm like, yeah, but he's muscular right now, but if he put on more muscle, like, his face kind of looks like Jimmy Graham. Like, he would probably be a great tight end in football. But who's to say? He is amazing at baseball, and God damn it, he hit the shit out of that baseball on Friday night, and I guess yesterday. I missed the home run last night, but God, yeah, he rubbed it in. He rubbed it in hardcore with the whole Arson Judge thing, and he got booed big time. I wasn't expecting it to be a huge booing, but Giants fans let him know, like, we didn't like being used as leverage.
Yeah, and that's fair, but also I think I don't know if he was fueled by that so much as being able to play in his childhood ballpark, the place where he grew up idolizing Rich Aurelia. Like, how often do you hear that? Good God,
Rich is the man.
Yeah, and but still, like, how often do you hear that though? Like, do you ever hear? Yeah, I watched Rich Aurelia play dynamic shortstop back when I was growing up a Giants fan. Like, you don't hear that too often.
No, you don't. But I will say this: as a kid, I always said the nicest guy on the team was Rich Aurelia.
Yeah,
because my dad was nice enough to bring me around the ballpark and batting practice and introduce me to guys, and some guys wouldn't give you the time of day. Rich Aurelia was always like, "Hey, Derek, nice to meet you." Awesome guy, still is today.
Sorry, you know what? I came across wrong in that. I'm not trying to disparage
Yeah.
who Rich
No,
really
no,
was
I
as a
know, I know,
player.
I know.
I'm saying Aaron Judge was that diehard of a fan that he
Yes.
labeled Rich Aurelia as his childhood, the
Yep.
guy that he grew up idolizing. So I think he relished being able to play at Oracle Park, which must be awesome for him. And you know, you mentioned how big Aaron Judge is, and Jesse asked this question. She's like, I know he's not like the tallest player that's ever played. Richie Sexton on line one, but
How tall was he?
he was like 6'10", I think.
Jesus Christ.
But as far as like bigger in stature,
He's probably sexting all the time.
just yeah, just how big he like just as far as size of the human being, not just his height, but the way he's able to fill out the frame. Yeah, Aaron Judge is damn close to being one of the biggest. That's actually really good.
I thought about that too when Marcus Stroman was pitching on the mound, and he's got to be 5'8", 5'9". And then Sean Jelly comes in, and he's 6'7", looking all awkward on the mound. Huge legs.
Oh, I'm wrong. Richie Sexton was 6'8", so there you go.
Oh, never mind. All right, then.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, Aaron Judge is unbelievable. I mean, yeah, that lineup is ridiculous. Like, Giancarlo wasn't in the lineup on Friday night, but God, to go from Soto to Judge. Wait, no, it's Volpe, right? Volpe, Soto, Judge. That's the way it usually goes.
Uh-huh.
And Volpe's like, he's a good hitter too, but compared to those guys, God, those guys are, Greek gods. Like, it's crazy the lineup they have. Yep. And yeah, amazing hitter. And yeah, the fans were not too pleased with the way that he, took over the stadium, but I mean, yeah.
At some point you got to tip your cap, right?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Like, well, this is because we blame him for what he did, sure, but at the end of the day, I think he'd want to play for the Giants, but with a team like the Yankees, I mean, it's the Yankees. You know what I mean? And if you have a chance to use any team as leverage to get more money, wouldn't anyone do that same thing if they had that opportunity themselves? I know you hate Aaron Judge for it, but it's like, why do you have to use the Giants? Well, because the Giants were looking for a free agent. Like, it's business at the end of the day. And is it kind of insulting to the Giants fan base to get them excited like that? Sure. But I don't know. It's hard to blame anyone, especially when it comes to trying to get the most out of the team that you have given your life to. Like, he's like in baseball, you commit your life to these teams, and Aaron Judge did that to the Yankees. And if they weren't about to reward him for a record-setting season where the only guy who didn't think that he's the all-time AL king is Roger Maris's son or whatever it was, or so I don't know. I don't really. I understand the booing, but at the end of the day, just can't really blame him for that. I guess you got to blame the Giants for not offering a $400 million contract or something.
Well, I mean, shit, how much were the Padres offering? And he turned that down.
Yeah, that's true.
In the end, he always wanted to be a Yankee.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I mean, yeah, they're the better team right now, and they're the best team in the AL. They might be the best team record-wise in the whole Major League Baseball. Maybe the Phillies and them are at 41 wins, both.
Let's take a look. See, 41-19, and the Phillies are 41-18. So
okay, so one less loss.
Phillies are a half game better.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, it was incredible to watch, and I wish, I didn't want to go to both nights, but I wish I'd known that the RZA was going to be in the building on Saturday night.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't know it was Wu-Tang night.
Well, it was Wu-Tang night, but then they made it seem like all of the members of Wu-Tang was going to be there, but it was just the RZA in town.
Did they really?
Maybe I misread that. Susan Slusser tweeted out saying like, I can't believe in the game notes I'm seeing it's Wu-Tang Clan will be in the clubhouse later tonight, and I guess it was just that the RZA was going to be there as the representation for the Wu-Tang.
It did say,
which is the way he likes it.
That might have been, that will, I mean, not trying to take anything away from Susan, but the game notes did say that one select member of Wu-Tang was going to be there.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, RZA is representing Wu-Tang Clan, but I don't know. I mean, would Slusser know who RZA is?
Dude, Susan Slusser loves herself some music.
Really? She a big music
Oh
person?
yeah, she's a huge music person. She
Nice.
lives in London in the off season, and she goes to concerts all the time.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
I gotta introduce myself. I haven't met
Big.
her
She's
in person.
big. Oh, she's awesome. She's really into music. Loves music.
I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know that.
she knows the Wu-Tang Clan, definitely.
All right. Never mind then.
But yeah, RZA was there, and I I guess he lives. Well, he must live in L.A. or something these days. Yeah. If anybody knows well, I should probably have guessed that there are other members of the Wu-Tang Clan wouldn't be there if RZA was there. If you know the whole backstory with them, I guess they patched things up here or there, but a lot of animosity towards the leader of the Wu.
Really?
Yeah, like they released that ridiculous album. He got them all to come together, and he sold it like a piece of art, and then that weird guy that everybody hates bought the album. Did you know about this?
No.
So the Wu-Tang Clan came up with an album. I want to say in like 2017, and every member was under the impression that it was going to be like a regular Wu-Tang Clan album. Come to find out that RZA wanted to sell it as like a piece of art. Only one copy, and I think it sold for like $10 million by some billionaire jackass who did not want anyone to hear it. So he has it, I believe, but that rubbed everybody the wrong way. There's also like, if you ever watch the show, there's stuff about RZA withholding money or making decisions for the group that they didn't get a say in. So yeah, a lot of controversy with all 9 members in RZA.
Oh, all right. I thought the Giants were going to be bold and bring out like a hologram of ODB.
Yeah, well, ODB, yeah, that'd be interesting. Killer bees on the swamp. Speaking of old Yankee and Giant fans, I want to play this. This might get a little dicey, but I think it's funny. When I think of Yankees and Giants, I always remembered this because I'm a huge comedy fan. I remember in 2007, Robin Williams and Billy Crystal going to the ballpark every day during that series. And Robin Williams wasn't a huge sports fan, but he would show up every now and then to a Niner game or a Giant game. And he's best buddies with Billy Crystal, and Billy Crystal is a diehard Yankee fan. So in 2007, they got together and they wanted to meet up at the ballpark, and they did the starting lineups for the Fox broadcast back in 2007. Now, before I play this, I fully am aware that is this PC? No. Could have Robert Williams got away with this today? Absolutely not. But I still think it's funny. So here we go. Here's Robert Williams and Billy Crystal saying the starting lineups for the 2007 Yankees.
Bobby Abreu. That's what I said. I said Abreu.
Just want to give a little effect.
The third baseman, Alex Rodriguez.
Hey, Rod!
The catcher, Jorge Posada.
¿Quién es más macho? Jorge es más macho.
The left fielder, Hideki Matsui. The second baseman, Robinson Cano.
Away.
The first baseman, Miguel Cairo. And the starting pitcher, Chin-Ming Wang.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Oh my god. So yeah. They put that on a game broadcast. God, different times. And no one could be mad because it's Robin Williams,
No, you can't.
No.
The Matsui one killed me.
Yeah.
You sent me that yesterday. The Matsui one just floored me. My God.
I just remember that because I remember I don't remember going to the ballpark during that series, but I remember my dad watching every game, and then I remember him going, "Derek, come in here, look at this." And that's I think that's Tom Brenneman actually, the one saying like of all things, like oh man, look at that, You can't beat that. Robin Williams doing voices.
Yeah, Dan. Oh, it was a different time.
Definitely different time. All right. Speaking of time, it's NBA Finals time, Steven.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a segue by me. Anyway, Celtics swept, and the Mavericks have advanced. And it's going to be Mavs versus Celtics in the NBA Finals. We talked about the Eastern Conference Finals last podcast. They just, the Pacers being down, Tyrese Halliburton. There was really no hope after that. And they played well, but the Celtics then just stole 2 games in Indiana and swept that series. As far as the Mavericks, it's been incredible how well Luka and Kyrie have just exploded offensively, and no one could stop them defensively. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I was surprised how thoroughly the Mavericks kicked the Timberwolves' ass in Game 5. But at that point, I think maybe just the T-Wolves just didn't have enough in the tank, and they couldn't guard them. But I think the T-Wolves are going to be a good team going forward. But I was surprised, out of all the Western Conference teams, that I did not think the Mavericks were going to get here. I know they made additions, getting what's his name, PJ Washington from where was he from? Brooklyn,
Charlotte.
So that's really helped them. But I think overall the best team is still the Celtics, and we'll see if Kristaps Porzingis comes back, and that's really interesting with Porzingis being a former Maverick and Kyrie being a former Celtic. It's going to be an interesting matchup, but I'm not going to give a pick today, but I would say that I'm leaning towards Celtics right now.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see the mental matchup here, because like at the end of the day, I really thought, to be honest, I know the outcome wasn't there, but even in these playoffs, and I still believe this, I still believe that the Nuggets were the best team in the Western Conference and probably the most deserving to get to, not the most deserving, but they were the team I expected to get to the finals. So with that, I do think the Celtics are heavy favorites, but I'm interested to see how this impacts them mentally. Number one, like I think my number one question is for the Mavericks with Kyrie Irving. I think his story is fascinating. Might be able to hear that on KCBS right now, but I think his story is fascinating because like just thinking of where he's come from in 2017 when he left the Cavs, didn't want to be second fiddle to LeBron anymore. So he went to Boston, left there on bad terms, tried to create a super team with Brooklyn. That didn't work. And then he had all those controversies where he's just started floating conspiracy theories left and right, really with the anti-Semitic ones that kind of closed out him speaking in public. And even though none of what he's done as of late erases what he said, because really you can apologize all you want, but you can't take any of that back. Some of that stuff was just super egregious. I know you can learn your lesson and do all those things, but still can remember that time. I still think that's something that's going to, I think that's something, it might not be something that a lot of people remember in the future, but I certainly will.
I'll just say that I enjoy watching him play basketball, but he's not coming over to my apartment for Seder.
Exactly. Yeah. But
I don't have any cups. I don't have any cups, Kyrie. I'm sorry.
But with the Boston thing, him and the fans do not get along well. And we saw what happened with Draymond in the Warriors series. The Celtics fans got to him early, and it was really Steph Curry who kind of picked him up. Will Luka be able to pick Kyrie up if the Celtics fans get into his head? I think that's my number one thing, my number one question, at least in the first couple of games. But the other one, mentally, if the Celtics lose again at home when they are the favorites here and the home court advantage doesn't exist, like what's that going to do to them, especially, after Game 4, when the series turns back to Boston for Game 5. And let's just say it's, I don't know, split with Dallas so far. Like, what's it going to be like if that series is even going back to Boston? I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. I like that Luka made it though. I think it's really cool to watch like a guy within the top 5, picked within the top 5, like actually turn into what people thought he was going to be. When he was drafted, what was the name mentioned immediately? Dirk Nowitzki. All right. We have our next Dirk. And now they got him back in the finals for the first time since 2011. So I think that's compelling in itself. But just looking at that top 5, man, I know DeAndre Ayton's been in the finals, but it's not like he led Phoenix to that finals berth. He was a part of it, but it's not like he was the number one piece. Trae Young, Marvin Bagley Jr., I think was taken in that top 5 too. I think he was taken second actually. So I don't know. It's just pretty cool to actually to see all of that happen for Doncic, I think.
And I think Boston Celtics fans are going to have the weird predicament of being like, who's this guy, Luka? It's a pretty nice white guy playing basketball here. How are we going to root against him?
Yeah, they might be conflicted.
But we will pick that series. It's not tipping off until that's the problem right now, is that when the conference finals go super fast, then we get a long time without basketball. So we will be without basketball until this Thursday. Yep. I remember the same thing happening in 2017 where the Warriors swept and the Cavs, I think, had to go to a game 5 against the Celtics. And we had a long, long time before we got to the NBA Finals. So
yeah.
Now we wait for that series to start. And I lost. I picked the you picked the Mavericks in 7, or maybe 6, whatever it was. You did pick the Mavericks to win. And you did pick the Celtics in 5. I thought that it was going to go 6. I thought that the Pacers would give them a fight, but without Halliburton, that did not happen. And yeah, I thought the Timberwolves were going to win. So I lose. Got myself a nice little baby carrot. Keeping it healthy.
Oh no.
And I'm not mixing sauces anymore. So I got the last dab, made it with the move. I'm just going to dab a little on. And then we'll move on. Yeah, it's quite a bit of a dab. All right. Like I said, Steven, it may not be punishment on the podcast, but it's definitely punishment later on.
Okay.
All right.
While you're doing that, I can play something for you if you want. Oh my God.
Sure.
You okay?
It was a big dab.
Wow.
Ooh. Go ahead.
Jeez, that go right to your throat.
Yeah.
Oh.
I also haven't had breakfast this morning, so this might hurt.
That was bad. So the Florida Panthers, they're going back to the Stanley Cup final. Second time. Still haven't won it. Second straight time, but they lost to the Golden Knights last year, so they get another chance at it. And I'm not going to play a Paul Maurice clip because there's nothing
Aww.
There's nothing like that's hilarious with Paul Maurice that came out of this one. He was actually he was kind of, the way that he spoke was very poignant is the way that I'd put it. He was very calculated with his words and not very in much joking mood. He wanted to praise his players, but there was a funny moment because the trophy that they get is called the Prince of Wales Trophy, and there is a curse apparently for those conference finals teams that if you touch the trophy, then that means you're going to lose the Stanley Cup final. And apparently that's what Paul Maurice was telling their captain, Alexander, a.k.a. Sasha Barkov. They showed a video of it. They showed him on the sideline as the clock was winding down and they knew they were going to win. He's telling him, do not touch that trophy.
Two things. One, it looked like your coach had told you not to touch the trophy before, or is that just not something else?
He also told me last year.
Oh, so you didn't listen last year.
No, we had like different situations. So we're not going to talk about last year, but this year I think we all agreed we're not going to touch it.
There you go. So
if they lose, point to him.
Yeah, if they lose, then the curse might be lifted because that's the curse.
Okay.
It's weirdly called the Prince of Wales Trophy, which is bizarre.
How accurate is that?
What do you mean? How accurate is that?
Well, you would know better than me. How ridiculous is that trophy name?
It's well, it's very ridiculous. It was named for Prince Edward. And I believe Prince Edward was the guy who left the royal family because he wanted to marry an American. I think that's the history there.
All right
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
And he was just a big hockey fan.
Yeah. Well, I
right.
think I don't, well, not a hockey fan, but I don't know. I think that's the same guy. Huh. Maybe not.
You know,
Was it?
speaking of hockey,
It was. He had an affair with American, and then he was gone from the royal family.
God damn it.
Vanished.
The way that you like Luka getting to the NBA Finals because he was a high draft pick and we had expectations for him. Same thing with Connor McDavid. Want to see what happens tonight between the Stars and Oilers. Right now, the Oilers lead that series 3-2. I know there's a lot of Sharks ties to the Stars with Peter DeBoer and Joe Pavelski on the team. But there's a part of me that kind of wants to see the best of the best. And I know the Florida Panthers are the best team in the Eastern Conference. Paul Maurice is a hilarious watch in post games, so I can't wait for that. I don't know if the NHL, now that he's on a bigger stage in the Stanley Cup final, cursing as much as he does in his press conferences, will love that, but maybe it'll be good for the brand. But I do kind of want to see the best of the best and Connor McDavid going to the Stanley Cup. I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a, to me, it's a win-win because I agree. Why wouldn't you want to see Connor McDavid in there? And I don't know, they're just a really fun team to watch. But the Stars are just so sound, and it would be really cool to see Pavelski get one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think a lot of people, like Jessie, for example, she has such an emotional attachment to the Sharks that I think if you had to ask her, she'd want the Stars, and she'd want.
Oh,
to
of
see
course, I
Pavelski
get
in the
that.
Stanley Cup final. But personally, I'm good with either, and I think that it's the truth. And then if you were to ask any hockey fan, they just don't want the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are the most hated team in the league. So
Now, why is that? Because they play in a state that's not really hockey related?
No, not really. It's because they're super violent. They get away with a lot. Very talented, but they're just kind of they were just kind of known as jerks on the ice. That's what made their series with the Rangers so compelling. It's because those were the two, if you had to label a team as a jerk, like those were the top two in the league. So I don't think a lot of people want to see the Panthers win one.
You know where they play in Florida?
They're in Miami. They're
Okay.
they're in, I think, what's it called? Sunrise? Is that what it's called? Sunrise.
Is that where
Florida?
the Heat play?
I think it's near there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I asked my Canadian friend who was a big hockey guy. I was like, do hockey fans kind of think the teams that don't play in the colder climates, the more hockey centric towns, are they kind of fake? And he's like, not really. I mean, there's a lot of respect for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who they three-peat in recent years.
No, they didn't.
They went back to
three-peat.
back, though.
They went back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, just certain teams are better now, like the Florida Panthers, Charlotte, what are they, Charlotte Hurricanes or Carolina Hurricanes?
Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah.
Yeah. Just areas that are not really, like I said, hockey centric, but they, have good teams, so they win the respect of the fans.
Well, I think your Canadian friend is also, I mean, how old's your Canadian friend?
My age.
Yeah, so he hasn't really seen a Canadian team win a Stanley Cup.
No, he has not. No, he has not.
Since he's been able to watch to actually know what hockey is, because the last team to win one was when I was born in 1993. So,
and who was that?
Canadians.
Canadians. My friend is a Ottawa Senators fan.
That's a shame.
Yeah, from Ottawa.
Oof.
He was getting his hopes up that Snoop Dogg was going to buy the franchise. That was
who?
rumor. Snoop Dogg. Snoop-a-loop.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The Sen Izzles.
The Sen Izzles, baby.
Auto Wizzle Sen Izzle.
Let's get to a little Warrior talk, though. Excuse me. Jesus Christ.
You all right?
Yeah, this last dab still dripping in the old nasal areas because of my allergies are mixing with the hot sauce. So this is fun. Don't ever say it's not punishment, Steven. Don't ever say that. Anthony Slater well connected with the Warriors. He put out an article this past week, kind of giving the latest tidbits going on with the team. And these are the ones that stood out. At the moment, nothing is imminent between the Warriors and Klay Thompson. And the feeling right now is most likely he is bound to hit free agency, this free agency period. He also said that management is going to be very aggressive this offseason, and they could break up the core group of Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, because they gave them a chance to kind of rectify things before the All-Star break, and they didn't even make a playoff berth or get a playoff berth. If Brandon Ingram were to be available, he does not believe the Warriors would be interested. However, if the Miami Heat do shop Jimmy Butler, he does believe the Warriors would have some interest. And finally, Kenny Atkinson was given permission to speak with the Cleveland Cavaliers for their head coaching position. If Kenny Atkinson were to leave, right now the heavy favorite for the Warriors' lead assistant would be former Laker head coach Darvin Ham. Amongst the tidbits that Anthony Slater put out there, Stephen, which one stands out to you?
Well, the Klay one. I think we're entering a reality here where the Warriors aren't going to be able to pay him what he wants. And I think that the fact that they're showing interest in someone else kind of proves that, because if you are showing interest in a Brandon Ingram or a Klay or a Jimmy Butler, I don't think you could retain Klay Thompson for as much as he'll be able to get on the open market. So I'd say those two are intertwined. Although I'd say this, if they don't have interest in Brandon Ingram, okay, and they have interest in Jimmy Butler, well, who do the Heat have interest in from the Warriors? You'd think that Andrew Wiggins would be involved in that package deal, but from everything that we have known about Andrew Wiggins, and this isn't a slight on him, but if you're part of that Heat culture, then you need to live and die Heat basketball. And I don't know if Wiggins is that type of dude. It'd just be like, would they have interest in bringing him in for a guy who's kind of known to maybe not love basketball as much as the next guy?
Or be missing time every year around March, whatever's going on with that, whatever it may be. But whoever, I mean, if teams are interested in Andrew Wiggins, then you got to know what's up with his personal life as well.
And you got to be willing to pay whatever it is, $28-30 million a year.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that stood out to me the most was probably the interest with Jimmy Butler, because that I could see them being interested, but then like, what are you going to pay him? Like, he's going to need a new deal. He's going to want to get a max contract. And yeah, I don't know if they could fit Klay Thompson under that too. The Klay Thompson stuff, to me, he always is going to hit free agency. That's not surprising to me. Like Draymond hit free agency a year ago. He wants to see what's out there. So I don't doubt for a second that he's going to be a free agent. And then we'll have the uncomfortable week or so where we're like, well, is Klay going to leave? And when you watch a lot of teams this playoff run, there's a lot of teams that need better shooting. Maybe Minnesota, maybe OKC, just more veteran off the bench shooting. And the Warriors probably will have a price. It's probably that 2 for $48 that he declined. And I don't think they're going to go above that. I don't think a team's going to like throw a ton of Klay Thompson, but maybe more than the Warriors are willing to pay. And the Warriors, I don't want them this offseason to get into a bidding war for Klay Thompson. I don't. If they realize that another team is going to pay him substantially more, then by all means, it's time to move on. I think at some point they have to realize that. It can't just be like, let's run it back and do the nostalgia tour of what the Warriors used to be. At some point, they have to realize, okay, Klay is, is a fan favorite and will always be a franchise favorite and will always be immortalized as a Warrior. But you can't deny that he has not performed when it mattered. Last playoffs where he was awful against the Lakers. And then I know the whole team was bad, but that playing game against the Kings, he went 0 for 12. And I know that he's in a different stage of his career, and you may look to him as just being the sixth man off the bench, and that's fine. I welcome that. But if it's going to cost you way too much, then I don't mind just saying, Klay, we love you. It's time to move on.
Yeah. You don't think any team will be willing to just overpay for him, though?
Not a max contract. What do you mean by overpay? Like a 4 or 3 year deal?
Yeah, something around there.
Yeah, that could happen. And then the Warriors have to stand their ground and be like, Klay, no, it's
Yeah.
not. We're if you want to go and do that, that's fine. But we have this price for you.
Yeah. Look, I'm leaning more towards it. Like, I think we're going to see Klay in an Orlando jersey next year. Like, I just think that's what it's trending towards. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of cap space. I don't know if those top free agents, I know there's a lot of them. I know you got like I know Paul George is obviously up there in talks right now. I think James Harden's a free agent. I don't know who'd be wanting him though. And I know a couple of the other guys like OG Anunoby and Tyrese Maxey and Pascal Siakam. I know Siakam's already paid, but I know all those guys are probably going to agree to deals with their teams. It just feels like Magic and Klay is like the fit. Like they're going to need a shooter in that starting five, and I think they'd be willing to pay Klay maybe like somewhere in the $27 to $28 million a year range for a couple of years. Like I think they'd be willing to do that.
If that's the case, then by all means, Klay. But I have to think there's better options for him than just the Magic. I think that maybe Philadelphia might be out there for him. I heard that rumor a week ago.
Yeah.
I think there's better options for him. If it's just the money, then sure, maybe Orlando's the best spot. But if it's like the best place he could win, I could see an Eastern Conference team or a Western Conference team offering him a good enough contract where he was like, okay, I want to go to a playoff team. And the Magic were a playoff team, but I don't see championship,
right,
for them at anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. It's sad, man. It's sad. And dude, I don't know. It just seems like this. We've talked about it. No matter what the Warriors do, like it just doesn't feel like this is going to be a team that's back to being in championship contention unless there's some postseason run that they go on. Like I don't view them the same as the Giants, obviously, but it's kind of similar to how I mentioned the Giants at the top of this show. It's like the only way they're going to get in now is maybe they could squeak in as the 5 or 6 seed. But right now it just feels like they're going to be maybe a play-in team who just need to go on some sort of storybook run in order to get back to the finals. And I'm not saying they're the same team as the Giants or whatever, but I'm just saying with those specific circumstances.
No, but it's getting there. I mean, everyone knows about the years after the championships for the Giants where, they threw a bunch of money at Samardzija and Johnny Cueto, and it never resulted really in anything. They had one playoff run in 2016, but they got bounced out by the Cubs in the second round. So there are a lot of similarities between the Giants and Warriors where you just hang on to things for too long and don't plan for the future. And I feel like the Warriors still think that they could just turn things around. I see the comparisons way too much now with like the Mavericks weren't in the playoffs a year ago, and now they're in the Western Conference they're in the NBA Finals. It's different with the Warriors. Like there's nobody like that Luka's, a superstar, and he's young. There's nobody like that on the Warriors right now. And I know everybody's like, well, Kuminga. I don't know about Kuminga. I really don't. And I don't think they're going to trade him, but I don't think we should put all of our eggs in a Kuminga basket.
He's really good, but it strikes me as like he strikes me almost as like a Jaden McDaniel type in a way. Like maybe he's a better scorer than McDaniel is, but just he'll always be kind of the X factor. He'll never be like that. He'll never be like that number one player, that number one star. He'll always be that X factor on different teams. Like this is the guy that's going to make the difference in the series because he's a really athletic player on the wing who can defend at times. So yeah, it's I don't really see him. I don't view him that way.
And if I were the Heat, I don't know if I would want to trade Jimmy Butler. I know he's been injury prone the last couple seasons, but I wouldn't do that. and they've been in the finals twice in the last, what is it, 4 or 5 seasons. They lost both times, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to do that. I know that there's an awkward thing right now between him and Pat Riley, where Pat Riley told him, if you're not on the court, then shut your mouth. But Pat Riley says that to a lot of guys, so I'm not getting my hopes up for that. What else did? The breakup of the core. I mean, that obviously, because Klay Thompson could be out, so that obviously would mean that they broke up. Klay and Steph and Draymond. Wiggins, I think they do want to move, but it depends on the team that's willing to trade for him. And then lastly, the Darvin Ham stuff. I don't know how Darvin Ham really is as a coach, because it's hard to gauge how good a coach is when they have LeBron on their team, and that's unfair, but that's just the truth of it. Because I just don't, I never like see the X's and O's of the coach shining, and that's like rare with a superstar. I feel like you can see that with Steph, obviously, in a Steve Kerr offense. You could see that with, Kobe when he was in a Phil Jackson offense. But with LeBron, it's like it's LeBron's offense. There's really he never had a coach that was like that stood out. Like Ty Lue's a good coach today, but back in when they won the championship, it was LeBron carrying that team, and Eric Spoelstra was not Eric Spoelstra yet with the Heat when he won with the Heat. So, yeah, I don't know how Darvin Ham would be as an assistant coach. I think it'd be fine, but it's always good to have a assistant coach that has coaching experience. So if Kenny Atkinson were to leave, yeah, I'd be cool with Darvin Ham being the assistant coach.
Yeah, I mean, he was assistant with obviously the Lakers in 2011 through 2013. Then he went to the Hawks until 2018, and then he was with the Bucks as an assistant till 2022. I don't know. I mean, everyone's saying don't do that, but I don't know. I got to stop going on social media when it comes to these coaching things, because I just don't think 95% of the people who actually have an opinion on coaches know exactly what coaches do. And I'm just in the category of, I don't know what he would do. I don't know what Kenny Atkinson did for the Warriors other than maybe create some defensive schemes and, work with their players and all that sort of stuff. The stuff that assistants do. And we always paid attention to Steve Kerr, though. And so I think if Darvin Ham does get hired, we wouldn't really even think about Darvin Ham. We wouldn't think he either won them a game or lost them a game. At the end of the day, it's all going to be on Steve Kerr. And next year, if it doesn't work out, then Steve Kerr is going to be blamed for the Darvin Ham hiring. And there's going to be a lot of Steve Kerr blame next year. I don't know if I'm ready for it, to be honest.
Yeah, I would want the last 2 years of Steve's tenure with the Warriors to be as peaceful as possible. But knowing Warriors fans, it's not going to be that case. Well, I'm sure, I'm sure Steve would just want to have a nice time at the ballpark last night with Tom Tolbert, and I'm sure people were, asking questions about Warrior shit.
Yeah, maybe, but I think also people are just really loud on social media and wouldn't say that stuff to his face.
That is true. Also,
it's like it's like when people call out media members for not asking the tough questions. I dare you to be in that scrum and then try to ask a tough question, and then when the coach actually has a reasoning for that tough question and battles back at you and you answer it, just good luck.
Well, but also, like, what is there to press Steve on? Like, seriously.
Yeah, it's just all rotations. That's all people think. It's rotations. Why would you play this guy here, not this guy there, and all that stuff?
I get you have to ask those questions, but I love that everybody's like, I could do a better job than you. Really?
Yep. Yeah. That's how it is.
Annoying. Let's go to a little football. And I think this is the best case for Brandon Ayuk to have the outline of a contract or a good comp contract.
Yeah.
So I think it was Thursday. Jalen Waddle signed a new contract extension with the Miami Dolphins, 3 years, $84.75 million, 76 of it guaranteed. The top paid wide receivers in football now, A.J. Brown, $32 million a year, 96 total, 84 guaranteed. He's number one. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $30 million, 120 of it total, 77 guaranteed. Then Tyreek Hill at third at $30 million, 120 total, 72 guaranteed. Then there's Jalen Waddle right behind Tyreek Hill at 28 a year, 84 total, 76 guaranteed. Then you got Devontae at 28, 140 total, 65 guaranteed. Cooper Kupp, 26 total, 80 of it, 26 annually, 80 total, 75 of it guaranteed. And then there's Devontae Smith at 25 a year, 75 total, 69 of it guaranteed. What's crazy is that the Eagles and Dolphins have 2 receivers in the top 7 of the highest paid wide receivers. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, then how come the Niners can't pay Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel if the Eagles are able to pay Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith? I actually have no clue how they're able to do that. And it's going to bite them in the ass eventually here because they make these moves. Howie Roseman's a genius with the cap, but you keep deferring that money and eventually it's going to blow up on you. So the Eagles, they have a time frame too of when they can actually, their window's going to close.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Steven.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I think I'm more surprised with the Ayuk thing. I was thinking about this the other day. Like they did this with, and they're probably going to do this with Brock Purdy's contract, but they did this with a lot of them. They backloaded a lot of their contracts, so they gave them a minimal amount of money in the front. They deferred them, like you mentioned. They did a lot of that. But it seems like whenever they were supposed to pay off these deferrals, well, they already have. So I wonder why they can't do that with a contract like Ayuk when there's going to be a ton of money off the books later. Maybe Ayuk is the one who wants the contract now and wants to get paid as much as he can in the next couple of years, but I just don't know why they can't do that with his new contract, whatever he's going to get. I don't know if he's going to get the Jalen Waddle type 28 million. That might be the base there. But I just don't know why they can't do that. Maybe it's more simplistic than I'm making it sound.
Possibly, but as far as the Jalen Waddle contract, I think that's the best comparison that Brandon Ayuk could have, because I don't think he's in the same class as an Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's a totally different player. I think Amon-Ra is the type of guy that skill set wise, maybe Brandon Ayuk has more talent, but as far as what Amon-Ra St. Brown does in that offense, he's a guy that's going to catch maybe 120 balls a year and double-digit touchdowns. I think his production is just different. He's the number one guy in that offense. It's crazy to me that the Dolphins would pay Jalen Waddle close to their number one receiver, Tyreek Hill. And now Tyreek Hill probably wants a new contract. But if there's anybody on this list that's comparable, in my opinion, in production and just the type of wide receiver that he is, I think that Brandon Ayuk could look to the Jalen Waddle contract and be like, okay, I'll do that. That makes sense to me. Everything else, whatever Justin Jefferson gets, is definitely more earned than what Brandon Ayuk should get. Justin Jefferson's the number one wide receiver and probably the best in football. Same thing with Jamar Chase. Those contracts are going to blow these ones out of the water. And CeeDee Lamb, same thing. Brandon Ayuk, to me, his production does not match what those three guys should get in Chase, Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb. T. Higgins probably in the same ballpark, but yeah, if I'm the Niners, you're going to wait. You do the usual training camp thing, but if I'm looking at a comp for a contract, I'm saying, all right, Brandon, we'll give you the Jalen Waddle contract.
Yeah. Well, I'd also, if anyone thinks that he does deserve that money, including himself, well, the unfortunate part of the business is having a top paid wide receiver, like the number one guy, that doesn't always translate to on-field success. Maybe Jamar Chase is an outlier because he's got Joe Burrow. Cooper Kupp, he wasn't the number one guy, but you also got a guy like Matt Stafford. But Justin Jefferson with the Vikings, he's going to get paid, but what's he really going to win? Truly, like, when's he really going to win a Super Bowl? Is he going to do that next year? Is he going to do that in the next 2 years? I don't know. A lot of that is contingent on what J.J. McCarthy does. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he got paid now, but just wait till that hits the lines down the line and they can't pay some guys. Like, what's going to happen with that team down the future? It looks great now, but at this point in time, it seems like the 49ers can allocate their funds elsewhere if Ayuk feels like he needs to be paid more along the lines of these top five guys. But look what happens with the Dolphins. you have a historically good offense for the first few weeks of the season, or for the first few weeks of the season, and it kind of peters out towards the end, and you don't do anything in the postseason because you're playing in the cold against the Kansas City Chiefs. Devontae Adams with the Raiders. Look what's happening with the Raiders right now. It's not too great. Probably going to be third in the AFC West. And we all know what happened with the Eagles and Devontae Smith, but the Eagles seem to be on the downward trend right now. So just because you pay a top wide receiver doesn't always translate to on-field success. So if he really wants to be paid like those types of guys, then yeah, the 49ers might just be better off.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to try. I think they're going to eventually not trade him. I think eventually they're going to pay him. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, and one of these wide receivers is going to be out. It's either going to be him or Debo. They can't keep all of these guys on the roster.
No, they're not. But they did get more cap space, and this is, another interesting time of the year, even though a lot of stuff won't be going on NFL-wise. But there's always that June 1st designation or whatever it is where if you cut a guy after a certain point in their contract, then you get more money. So the Eric Armstead release goes on the books now, and now the Niners have more cap space. You could see more trades. You could see more deals during this time. We saw it like a year ago. Dalvin Cook was cut after June 1st. I don't know why teams set it up that way, but for whatever reason, if they're off the team after June 1st, then you get more money or you save more money, whatever it is. So you could see more stuff with that. I saw a rumor out there that the Niners may be more inclined now to trade Deebo Samuel post June 1st. I think they'd rather just have him on the books for the season and then revisit that in the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah. But we also know with the Niners that when they open up cap space like that, it's not just for this year, it's for future years. So who knows what they're going to use with that money. Like, I don't know. We all think we know. Like, automatically you assume either Brock Purdy or Brandon Ayuk, but maybe, like Ernie One's saying, pay Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, this could become a thing. It's not right now because it's minicamp and, you don't always need everybody there. But if McCaffrey is looking to get paid, then this could complicate things even more because McCaffrey has a case. He's not making $16 million like they put it up on the graphic when they show the highest paid running backs in football. He's not getting paid $16 million. That's a signing bonus that's factored in the equation. Basically, he's making 11, and they got him for the cheap because they traded the Carolina Panthers did that deal years ago with him, and McCaffrey is one of the few running backs in football that you could say he's the most valuable player on the team, way more than the quarterback. I mean, you could make the argument that McCaffrey should make more than Brock Purdy, but that's not in any realm of reality right now. So if McCaffrey wants to get paid like $20 million this year, then, the Niners should do it because he's worth it. At the same time, though, that's going to fuck things up for the future. And I think that you're looking at way more than just Debo not being around next season. It could be Kittle too. And there could be a lot of changes if this season does not result in a championship. Even if it does result in a championship, it could be that the Niners make big changes because they paid so many guys and then they have to pay the quarterback.
That's why I feel like as much as any one of these years, the need to win now is as high as it's been. 2019, you kind of had the luxury there. I think people thought the 49ers would be good, but I don't think they expected them to be like best team in the NFC good.
No.
I don't think they expected that. So you were kind of playing with house money, so to speak, and you had so much to build on. But now you're coming up towards the end of it, and it makes last year's loss, I don't know. It kind of inflates it a little bit because when we talk about all this stuff, at the end of the day, they're going to have to make some really, really hard decisions. And this isn't a slight to the future and what they could build for the future. I think this is more just a nod as to how good this team is right now. Not saying their Super Bowl window is closing, but good God, it's as wide open as it's been with all these guys that you got on your roster. There's no doubt about it to me. I still think their team's going to be really, really good next year. Can it hold up? I think the defense, I I think Devondre Campbell's a signing that nobody's talking about. I think he's going to fill in beautifully for Dre Greenlaw when Dre Greenlaw's out. You could fill that void. Their secondary is a little bit in question right now, and they did build that defensive line, but you wonder how you wonder how those guys are going to pan out, because Javon Hargrave was the best defensive tackle in the league, and he was great the first few weeks, but kind of disappeared in the second half of the season. So, you never really know with defensive linemen. It could be they could show out one week and then the next just be completely gone. So what I'm trying to get at here is there's going to be some form of change. And right now it feels like they're at the peak of not just what they could be, but what any NFL team could be. Like, just loaded everywhere. And from OTAs, I don't want to make too much of it, but looks like Brock Purdy's looking really good out of OTAs so far. So, there's only so much you could draw from that, but but
he's proven it.
He has. And I think we're at the point with Purdy now where instead of it being a surprise when he plays well, I think I'd be more surprised if he plays poorly. Like, I just think he's a good quarterback,
Yep.
and I'll be like, damn, if he, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, I'll be like, damn, that's not like him. I think he's at that point now. So you're really in this window here to win one. And God, it's imperative you do, because this team's not going to be the same moving forward.
No, definitely. I think you have more of a
Positive outlook?
You have a positive outlook more on Purdy than I do. And I think that Purdy's really good, but I still would take, I remember you and I talked about this when they had the playoff game. I still would take Jordan Love over Brock Purdy. And I think there's a lot of quarterbacks I would take over Brock Purdy. I just think it's ridiculous that we're even contemplating having his contract being the same, just close in annual money to that of Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. To me, that's crazy. That's just my personal thing, but I think Brock's very good. But as far as like just the natural skill set of those two guys, I don't think that Purdy should come anywhere close to those guys. And I know that now everybody's going to get $50 million a year. That's just the baseline. I think the Dolphins are going to try as hard as they can to keep winning until they have to pay Tua, and then that's going to fuck things up for them. They're able to pay Jalen Waddle now, but I think even the money that Jalen Waddle got was kind of way too much. If Tua's good, but he's not great. That's the kind of the same way I think about Purdy. So if Tua gets paid before Purdy does, which most likely will happen, I would love to see what Trevor Lawrence gets. I want to see what Jordan Love gets. Dak Prescott's not getting a new contract this offseason, it sounds like, so he'll have to play for his career this upcoming season. But yeah, I personally, I think Brock's very good, but I wouldn't even come close to a contract that's next to Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. I think that's insane.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sucks for any 49ers fans listening, because I'm normally wrong on these predictions, and I can just flip my mind whenever I see them during the season, and then I just say, wow, maybe he's not as good as I thought he was. So
that is fair. That is fair.
But
I mean,
well for 49er fans.
But do you think he should? You think he deserves to be paid like those guys?
I'd say no, but I don't think they have any other choice. Like, you're in it now. You found your guy. You can't just not pay him what he thinks he deserves. Like, you found your quarterback, the one that Kyle Shanahan loves. Whether his contract should compare to those other guys, like, if you frame it that way, no. But if you are going to tell me that this is the going rate for quarterbacks, and the next option is we just draft one, or we get one through free agency. We hope we get one through free agency. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on when you frame it that way. Like, you'd say no, but when you look at the 49ers circumstances, you'd say, yeah, he deserves that.
Yeah, that's just the way the market is right now. So yeah, I can't deny that. I just that may be the end of things once it gets to that point.
Maybe.
Yeah. We got the Hard Knocks team this season, Steven. You don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers and all the hype. I mean, we'll see him enough I think they have 6 primetime games this season, but we won't have. It was interesting last year. I enjoyed watching the Jets Hard Knocks, but we're not getting that this year. We got a new hype beast in the Chicago Bears. The Bears will be this year's Hard Knocks team, and Caleb Williams will be all over that thing. I don't think it'll bother him. I think he wants the attention, but also he's used to it living in LA. So yeah, what do you think about the Bears on Hard Knocks?
God, he loves it, doesn't he? Caleb Williams loves this. The NFL's just trying to shove this down our throats because there's not really many interesting teams that didn't make it to the playoffs last year and reach all the criteria that they would make to make it to Hard Knocks. So this is the one team. I don't know. I guess I'm interested, but we're gonna repeat this every single time. The format's getting kind of old. Watching teams in training camp is just not that interesting anymore because you get all that footage from YouTube and their social media teams, and you kind of see it all posted from the beat writers and everything like that. Like it's all so all over social media plastered there that you're not really surprised by anything. You're not really loving any of these. I mean, unless there's like a 7th round draft pick or an undrafted free agent who's trying to make the team that you fall in love with. I don't really remember it last year being that way, but I don't know, man. I just the training camp format just doesn't intrigue me as much as it used to.
And that's fair because, like you said, there's so many different outlets now. Like every team's social media account has some form of Hard Knocks. Like even last year, the Jets had a in-house version of Hard Knocks, and then they got on Hard Knocks. So it was doubling up on, content every week of training camp. Like you would see Method Man or any of these celebrities coming, and then you would see it on Hard Knocks, a week later. And it was a lot of Aaron Rodgers. There was no, great story of an undrafted guy, making a name for himself or anything like that, or the personality of Robert Saleh. This is kind of the same deal. Like, I think it's going to be, you get to know Caleb Williams, you get to know Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, bigger names on the team. But yeah, like, is Matt Eberflus, besides like his new look of the goatee and the hair, is he like that entertaining? No. So Hard Knocks has changed. It's definitely not going to be, let's look at this guy getting cut. We're not. They show less of that these days. And honestly, I never watched the show to see cuts. I know that's part of the business, and I know that some people are like, "What the hell?" They got to be tough enough to be cut on camera. I don't really give a shit if it's shown or not. I think that Hard Knocks has turned into, let's get the biggest names possible on the show, and then we're going to follow them around with the camera. It kind of shifted that way with J.J. Watt. Once J.J. Watt was on the Houston Texans Hard Knocks, it was, let's show J.J. Watt as much as possible. And that's the way it was last year with Aaron Rodgers. And I think this is going to be the same thing where you just see a shit ton of Caleb Williams. And whether we say, oh, we're tired of Hard Knocks and, oh, we've seen a million things like this now with different social media accounts, the reality is we're all going to watch, and it's all going to be talking, sports talk the next day because people love football, and it will be in August or, July, and people will watch. People will watch, and they'll comment. They'll, is Caleb Williams come across too spoiled or too, is it show him being a good teammate? Is he more, is he struggling more than we thought he was? Or, just like little things like, like everything's dissected. Like I remember when Jameis Winston was on and everybody was, pay attention to like him talking about the pregnant cockroaches on his porch.
Yes.
No matter what, everyone will watch this, whether it's, same stuff we've seen in previous years. Everybody will watch the Bears on Hard Knocks.
We need something interesting from the assistant coaches, though, or I'm talking coordinators too. I like the Deuce Staley, Aaron Glenn dynamic during the Lions Hard Knocks was terrific. With the Jets, you didn't really have that, and with the Bears or the Browns rather, you had this gem.
Yes.
Grab your balls. Wrong. All wrong. Ahead. Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. Sit ahead. Sit ahead. Sit ahead. Sit ahead. Sit ahead. Do it again. My fault. Here we go. I'm not a quarterback. Obviously, you can tell.
The man's stomach would move when he said hike.
Yep.
Incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who that guy would be on the Bears. Because Shane Waldron's not like interesting.
Yeah, right.
I kind of want to know, like, they won't do this, but remember last year what happened with the Chicago Bears with their defensive coordinator?
Oh yeah.
He had to step down, and apparently the rumor was Hallis Hall got raided.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened there.
I don't know who that guy is going to be, but I hope there's like a hidden gem in there because that's what makes Hard Knocks watchable.
Hear you on that one. Two things before we get out of here. We'll do Jackass of the Week and Pop Culture Catch-Up. My Jackass of the Week, Steven, is Darren Waller for this music video that he did. The song with getting a fake... Is it Chelsea? Chelsea, right? Or Kelsey?
Kelsey,
my mistake again. He put out this music video that... is he more of a rapper or singer, you would say? Because this seems like singing to me.
he's a rapper.
Okay, so what's the definition of a rapper these days? You just put it on a tune and you could like sing in a way. Like, does Post Malone count as a rapper?
Yeah, it's I don't really know what this song was. His other stuff, he's actually rapping, but I don't know what
Okay.
this.
Is this rapping good?
He's got a good sounding voice, but I wouldn't say his rapping's that good.
Okay, yeah, this to me is just straight up Post Malone copying. And in this music video, he is on the beach with a lookalike, like his ex-wife Kelsey Plum, and the song is awful, and the music video ends with him getting stabbed.
Hope that water was warm.
Also, not a good actor because it would have had more of a dramatic effect if he just didn't react to the water splashing on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is cringy because if I know the details of everything, Darren Waller cheated on her and then she left him. And now he's making it like, oh, no, you did me dirty. And listen, everyone's making fun of Darren Waller for this. I want to also acknowledge that Darren Waller has gone through a whole hell of a lot in his life. And he battled drug addiction and he made a great NFL career for himself. But living in the here and now, I think this is kind of a jackass move with what he's doing now. And I'm glad he's not on the Raiders anymore because this is hard to defend.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
I don't like watching him sink into this where he's kind of turned into the laughing stock of NFL fans. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It was such a feel-good story when he was doing his thing with the Raiders and, Gruden called him up and it's like, all right, I got this tight end, Darren Waller, who's going to shock some people. No one really knows his story. And then when you get to the 2019 Hard Knocks, then you find that he was actually on the Ravens Hard Knocks, but just didn't make the team and no one really knew who he was. And he was dealing with some demons. I hate seeing it. And see, like, I don't like that. See, Ernie 1 is saying Antonio Brown 2.0. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that we're pegging him as this dude who's Antonio Brown 2.0 or tabbing him, whatever I just said. I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't like it one bit. Antonio Brown did a lot for us to, to have whatever opinion we have about him. Darren Waller's just made some crappy music and some crappy decisions after his marriage. I don't like it. I don't like seeing him fall into this. I don't like him being made fun of. Makes me sad, Derek. It makes me sad. And I don't like that he's the jackass of the week either. You're the jackass of the week for choosing him as jackass of the week.
Oh, come on. It's definitely appropriate. Come on.
Yeah, I can't defend it.
It's cringy, and I know that he's got different avenues outside of football, whether it's the podcast or his music career. but you don't look good in this thing, man. Like this came across like Justin Timberlake doing the Cry Me a River music video with the Britney Spears lookalike. Like this is just like, oh, she hurt my feelings, and I have to let everybody know about it. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
move on,
Yeah.
dude. And if you're gonna play football, then say you're gonna play football. Like I also would say he's a jackass for. I mean, we're in June right now, and he still has not given the Giants any indication of whether or not he's going to play this season. Eventually, you got to like, do you want to keep music? You want to keep making music, man? That's fine, but decide if you're playing football already. Like you got to make that decision.
Yep. Agreed.
Do you have a jackass of the week?
I do. This guy, he's it's just. Hang on. Is this the one? All right. I want to start it here because there's a 3-minute video. Tennis player, 6th seed, Andrei Rublev. This dude's a hothead, and no one should be reacting this way on a tennis court. I haven't seen anything like this before. Like this makes John McEnroe and his little tantrums look tame. This dude is the 6th seed, and he was getting knocked out by an unseeded player, an Italian guy. I forgot his name, but this guy was just going nuts. This might not be great for the listening audience, but for those viewing it, you can go back and watch this on YouTube. It's tremendous. If I can get the video.
A stunning upset of the 6th seed.
Yeah.
A horrible
Whatever. He
day
shook hands
for
with the
Andre
guy.
Rublev.
Fine, but it's just
Yeah.
jackass of the week for
A little-
reacting that way on
A
a
little
tennis court.
temper tantrum, a little
Too much.
childish.
It's too much, man. Come on. Control your emotions.
But you know what? We all loved John McEnroe doing that shit back in the day.
We did, but did
It
we?
was more entertaining though.
Yeah, but I think we'd have him as our jackass of the week if we were doing our podcast back in the 80s.
Yeah. Boy, 80s podcasts, man. How things would be different.
Right? Yeah. So that's my jackass of the week. Andrei
Well, there you go.
Rublev, 16. I was gonna go with Kennedy Carter or Angel Reese for the Caitlin Clark stuff, but at the same time, I'll say this. I'll just throw it out there.
Yeah.
The Angel Reese one didn't look all that egregious. She just pushed Caitlin Clark to the ground with no real force. It didn't look like if that much is really going to get Caitlin Clark to the ground. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Kennedy Carter was wrong. Like she was totally wrong for, I don't know if you saw it, but
Yeah, she yelled, she said to her, "You're a bitch," and then pushed her.
yeah, like that was wrong. Like shouldering her there with unsuspecting. Okay. But the Angel Reese one, it's kind of like, but they'd get my, jackass of the week just for not speaking to the media. We can't stand that.
Yeah.
We did that with Jamal Murray, but just not willing to answer questions when you do something that clearly needs to be questioned and that needs answering. I don't like that. I don't like it when, and maybe that's just me as a media member personally, but I just don't like when they avoid it and just don't do the obligations.
Yeah, I saw the clip where she said, "I'm not answering any Caitlin Clark questions." And I just want to know why the hate. And I'm not gonna go like Charles Barkley was like, "Y'all women need to stop hating on Caitlin Clark." Like, I just want to know why. Is it jealousy because she's talked about and the attention is all on her? And the WNBA has a lot of great players, but they're not talked about as much. Like, I can understand the frustration with that, but also like that's just sports. Like that's going to be sports media. There's always going to be somebody that's bigger and gets more attention, and other people will, I guess, be jealous or angry that they're not getting as much attention. I understand, like I'm sure there's players in the WNBA that are like, okay, well, this was a great league before Caitlin Clark. Why are we acting like she's saving the brand? And in a way, yeah, she is, fair or unfair, but I just don't get all the animosity.
Well, here's Ernie too. See, WNBA now having chartered flights, viewership is up.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is going to be a huge part of these new media rights deals, which is ultimately going to get these players paid. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get why, but I understand getting physical on the court. Like,
Yeah, you could do that.
Basketball, you could absolutely get physical, but to have clear animosity towards her and act like you don't. Like, it's just, it's really, it makes you almost not want to watch in a way. Like, you want to cheer on for these women and the WNBA and the league that's growing, but it's just not a great look right now. And I think this is something that's going to be part of the story of Caitlin Clark when we talk about it, like 30 to 40 years down the line. Like, when she first got to the league, she wasn't as respected as maybe she is towards the end of her career, or will be towards the end of her career. And at the end of the day, all she's done is just play basketball. Like, she's never done anything wrong. She gets asked by Nike to get a deal and get a signature shoe. She accepts that. She gets asked by Wilson to get her own signature line of basketballs, and the first athlete to have that since Michael Jordan. She gets asked to have that, and she will say, yes, I accept that. I don't really get it. I don't get it. It's kind of confusing to me. I get being physical on the court. I get trying to throw her off her game, but to clearly, like, do everything you can to just put her down, I don't really get it. I don't, but yeah.
Yeah, to me, it would be like if baseball players had a thing against Ohtani right now, because you can make the argument that Ohtani is the biggest name in baseball right now and is kind of saving the star brand of baseball players. Well, there's other big names. I feel like Ohtani's just on a different level right now. And there's Aaron Judge and other guys, but there's just like, were tennis players mad at Venus and Serena because they stood out and were making a lot of noise for tennis? I'm sure there were, but not to this, extent.
See, at the start there were. Not at the end of their careers, but at the start of their careers, they certainly were.
Well, even Tiger Woods. And then obviously there was, obvious racism with golf back in the day. But yeah, I'm sure people didn't like him initially, and then you learn to respect them. I think it's kind of lame that Caitlin Clark has to earn the respect of everybody else in the WNBA, but okay.
But that's the other thing. I don't want to just pin this as the entire WNBA hates her. I think it's just a select few players that are the loudest.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like, Fever ain't going to win any championships this year, and maybe even not next year. It's probably going to go to the Aces again. They're that good. Although the Connecticut Sun are pretty awesome, but I don't know. I guess like just it's still a work in progress with how the game's covered. I don't think a lot of people know how to really cover this sort of thing, because it kind of turns into this divisive talking point, where in reality, it's just, this is not about, it could be something bigger than basketball, but at the end, to me, it seems that some players are just very, very jealous. It seems like it.
Well, let's be real too. When, sports are more of a male dominated thing, and you have more talking heads that are men. So I completely understand when, it's the guys like Charles Barkley or other, people are on TV saying like, all these women are jealous. It's coming across as women are catty. And I can understand like that's not exactly what's going on. So I want to know the perspectives a little bit more. Like, that's why I think what is the name of the woman that pushed Caitlin Clark last night or 2 nights ago?
Kennedy Carter.
I would like to know why, like, don't hide in the sense of like, I don't want to talk about Caitlin Clark. It's not like we want you to talk about Caitlin Clark. It's like, why do you feel this way? Not right or wrong. I just want to know their perspective. Is it a jealousy thing? Is it she's not as good as people think she is? Like, I would just want to know their perspective on it. That's all what I want to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop culture catch up. See anything new, Steven?
Jesse and I saw If on Friday.
Oh, the Imaginary Friend movie.
Yeah.
How was it?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Jesse loved it, so I loved it.
Okay. Is that a rule when you're in a relationship that both of you have to like the same movie?
No, not really. It wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, I did expect it to be kind of one of those more, I know there's animation in it, but I also expected it to have a little more adult humor. No, this was straight up made for kids. So
okay.
Jesse wanted to see it. It was either If or Furiosa that we were going to see on Friday. And out of the goodness of my heart, I said, you know what? Furiosa is probably going to be in theaters longer. So we'll go see If, because I know she wanted to. And Jesse really enjoyed it, had a great time, and we'll still be able to go see Furiosa. So
That's true.
I'm happy with that decision. Also watched No Country for Old Men last weekend. That's always fantastic. Like
Call
that's
it.
just yeah. Call it. Yeah, that character, man, Antoine Chigurh. There's never going to be another like him. It's just in absolute insanity. The way that it was written, very thematic. You know, it makes you think, very symbolic, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then so I've realized, like, I've never really taken advantage of this, but because I don't really have a book to read right now on Bart, I realized I could just download shows onto the apps on my phone, like on Netflix or Amazon Prime. And on Prime Video, I watched like the first 6 episodes of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I don't know why, but I never finished it. So I finished out the first season this past week. Fantastic show. Oh, it's great.
I've heard good things. It's about comedy in the early 50s?
Yeah, stand-up comedy and women getting into comedy and all that. It's just really well done, really well written.
And someone actually plays like Lenny Bruce, I want to say.
Yeah. So you'd really like it because you're into stand-up comedy.
No,
And
I probably would.
I think it's really good the first couple of seasons, and I've heard it sort of falls flat later in the later ones. But dude, the first season was fantastic. It really is like one of the better first seasons of any show that I've seen. It's really good.
Okay. I've thought about checking that out, and I still am watching Peaky Blinders with the move. I haven't been watching a lot, so I need to finish that up. I do want to check out Furiosa at some point. I may actually go to the movies later today to see that, maybe. And then I do want to see the new Planet of the Apes, even though I didn't love the third one, and I didn't know if they needed to bring back that whole franchise again. But if it's good, it's good.
What a wonderful day!
Yes. Wait, is that for Mad Max or Planet of the Apes?
That's Planet of the Apes.
Don't they say that though in Fury or the last Mad Max, Fury Road?
Maybe.
The guy's in his car and he's like, "Oh, what a lovely day."
Well, he says that. Yeah, what a lovely day.
Yeah,
But
similar.
It is similar, but not what I was going for.
Okay, fair enough. I wanted to bring up more music in the pop culture catch up. Have you heard Eminem's new song Houdini?
Yes.
I want to play a little snippet. This is the one everybody's talking about. He makes a reference to Mega the Stallion that has people kind of up in arms. So we'll play that little portion right here once I get things going. And there we go.
Week, dude.
Stop it.
If I was to ask for Megan Thee Stallion if she would collab with me, would I really have a shot at her feet? I don't know, but I'm glad to be back like that.
Okay. So, hold on. The music's still going for me. Okay. So that's, in my opinion, pretty tame, but I understand people are like, "Oh, she was shot in her feet, so why are you making fun of that?" That's like very, as I said, tame for Eminem. Like I thought it was just a good play on words, to be honest.
Oh, why are we? Oh my God. Oh. Can't have it both ways with Eminem. Can't ask for the old Eminem and then get the new Eminem and then complain about this new Eminem because it sounds like the old Eminem. Oh my God.
Okay, well, here's what I'll say about the song itself. The chorus is abra, abra, cadabra. I'm about to reach in my bag, bruh. Is it Eminem's best work? No. Do I appreciate that he went back to kind of the old Slim Shady days where the formula was come out with a goofy song first, and then the rest of it is extremely dark for the rest of the album, or, him taking shots at people. I do appreciate, like, he's making fun of himself from back in the day. The whole music video is, I guess a sequel to Without Me. And there's the old blonde hair version of him and the new dark haired version of him. And they're battling out between, the 20-year-old version of Eminem and the 40-year-old or 50-year-old version of Eminem now. But the song, it's not really great in my opinion.
I think it's fantastic. I
Really?
loved it. Yes, I loved it. I'm so happy that Eminem has a sense of humor again and feels like he could put that into his songs. And I think these artists, I'm tired of this beef between Drake and Kendrick. You need someone who's just gonna, go all over these guys. Who's gonna spackle all over everybody. Who's just gonna, you know what I mean? Like in those old songs, remember, it's like Chris Kirkpatrick, you can get your ass kicked worse than them little Limp Bizkit bastards. Like
Moby, you get stumped by Obi.
Simple. Like,
Yeah.
we need this. We need someone like this back, because there's too much of this stuff in music nowadays where anyone can feature on any song and everyone's all goody goody. We need something like that. But it also, I think it shows like how unique Eminem is, like truly, in the fact that he had no fear of just going after everybody and just making a joke here or there. Like, I don't know. What was Meg Thee Stallion's opinion on it? Maybe she found it funny.
I'm sure she did. She actually has a good sense of humor. You've seen her in the Planet Fitness commercials or other stuff she's on. She can laugh at herself, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. And Eminem had fun with it. He was making fun of how things are PC these days. I think he has a trans line in the song that is actually clever. Not it's not terrible or anything, but he makes fun of how things are these days, and that's the whole point, though, I think, of the album. I think the album that's coming out is called The Death of Slim Shady, so it's kind of like a point of being like, if I did do this stuff back in the day, I would make fun of all this stuff back in the day, but I probably can't get away with it anymore. So that's, I think, the whole point of this concept album that's coming out. I do miss the days, like talking about, going to baseball games back in the day at AT&T around that time, or going to the Coliseum around that time in the early 2000s. I always remember summertime was Eminem coming out with a new album, like whether it was Marshall Mathers LP or the Eminem Show. They were must listens, and I will say, I did love Eminem at a certain point when I was young, but then he definitely got into a weird phase of his career. Like, I never was a fan of the "I'm not afraid," like that just sounded like some kind of like Josh Groban shit to me.
I loved that when I was in high school, dude.
I hated that song. It just wasn't him. He just, like, it sounded like he was selling out at that time. Like, honestly, Eminem is a fantastic artist, but I think he only made maybe 4 good albums. I think the first 3 are great, all classics. The Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, the Eminem Show. I did like the sequel to the Marshall Mathers LP that came out like 10 years ago, but all the rest of it was kind of like him trying to like get more poppy and him doing like accents while he was rapping. It just got weird. But I'm gonna listen to the new one. But if I said that I had high expectations, I probably would be lying.
Well, I'm a little different. I liked everything up until I even liked Relapse. I actually liked it. I know it's a weird one, but for whatever reason, I like that album. So I liked the first 5, 6.
Yeah.
But after that, it kind of it really he kind of fell off. I don't know really what he was trying to accomplish. Like, there was a couple of great songs, but not like full albums worth. So,
well, I never liked it where there was one album he made that was all about what was going on with the country with Trump. I remember there's like an American flag on the cover, and a lot of it was, like guest appearances by Beyonce or Pink or Rihanna, and everybody hated it. And then he made a whole album talking about how much everybody hated that album. And I was like, like he just got a little too petty at times, in my opinion. But he's definitely matured. Like, I went through a rabbit hole yesterday just listening to like old stuff of his, and goddamn, while it's great, the Marshall Mathers LP or the Slim Shady LP, like the things he said on those songs, like, good Lord. And, when he was 20, like, he got away with a lot of shit. Now he's in his 50s and he acknowledges that a lot of that stuff was childish. But it's just funny, like, he's like, it's funny to see the 50-year-old Eminem, and he's still kind of doing like the same formula of, let me come out with the funny song and then the rest of it will be, dark or whatever. But no, I'm still glad he's doing his thing. It's just, I wasn't a huge fan of the new song.
Yeah, I loved it. And Recovery. I even liked Recovery when I was in high school. I was listening to that front to
Okay.
back.
So the Recovery was the one with I'm Not Afraid. There
Yeah.
was one. There was one that was awful. Just an awful song or an awful album that was political. If I can
Yeah,
find
that's
it.
the Revival one.
Revival. Yeah, that was yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Dude, I actually, yeah, I loved Recovery. I remember I haven't played that in a long time, but I used to love that when I was in high school.
Yeah,
dude.
man. I was not like I love the way you lie. Like these songs are just like they're not Eminem songs to me.
Yeah. I know we said things, did things that we didn't mean.
My God.
Cinderella Man, dude.
Cinderella Man, that's one that one's okay, but even that one's like that doesn't feel like an Eminem song to me. Like my favorite Eminem song is Role Model from the first album. I think that's the epitome of him as a MC.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the most creative to me, I think my favorite is Guilty Conscience. I think it's my favorite Eminem song.
That's a good one. That's a good one with him and Dr. Dre.
And just talking to Dr. Dre. I think it's genius.
It is genius, and yeah, I think Dr. Dre at the end just goes like the whole point of the song is him like you don't want to do the same stuff I did. And at the end, he goes, "Ah, fuck it, just shoot them, just shoot them both."
Yeah,
like the whole thing is like a guy finds out that his wife's been cheating on him, and Dr. Dre's like, "Don't do this." And he's like, "Ah, fuck it, just get your shotgun and kill them both."
Mm-hmm.
All right, we talked enough today. We'll be back on Wednesday, Steven. And yeah, we'll do something then. I really have nothing to tease unless you have something in mind.
Nothing coming up that I could think of.
All right, we'll do a little. We'll pick the NBA Finals. That's something I can guarantee for sure. For
Okay.
everybody in the chat today, the Ernies, Rock a New Era, Ernie 1, AJ Cruz I saw in here for a little bit, Jesse, who's Dead Girl Scar?
I don't know.
All right, that's a new one, and I think that's it. No tacky today from what I saw. All right, everybody, we'll see you on Wednesday. Steven, say what you want to say.
Yeah, it's just our big man.